शासनपति श्रवण भगवान महावीर स्वामी ने मारा भावपूर्वक वंदन। असीम उपकारी राष्ट्रसंत परम गुरुदेव आप श्रीना चरणों में मारा भावपूर्वक वंदन। सर्व उपकारी गुरु भगवंतों तथा महासती जी ने मारा भावपूर्वक वंदन। The Jeev, that is, the living, and the Ajeev Tattva, the non-living. Yesterday, Param Gurudev explained to us that ignorance lies in not knowing the difference between the living and the non-living. But right knowledge lies in knowing the difference and realizing the truth between the living and the non-living. Since the past infinite births, the living has been connected to the non-living, and the vicious cycle of birth and death is on and on. Until we truly realize and implement in our daily life the difference between the living and the non-living, this cycle of birth and death will always continue. We take birth due to the attachment with the non-living. Throughout our life, we try to build up a strong connection with the non-living, with the physical existence. But ultimately, when death occurs, we have to eventually leave the physical existence, the body, and then the soul gets transformed into the next birth. In this cycle of birth and death, we have to continuously realize that the body and the soul are two different elements. Until we realize this, we try to get attached more and more to the non-living. When we are young, we try, and we are always in the illusion that the body will be with us throughout. But as soon as the body gets older and older, ultimately at death, we have to eventually leave the body. Example, have you ever pondered yourself after looking at the mirror that this body will eventually become weak, old and feeble? It will eventually get decayed and even rotten. This truth, if one realizes, it will eventually get detached from all the worldly pleasures. Our futile efforts are to find happiness in the outside world. But true happiness eventually lies once on realizing that truth is in the internalization. That truth lies in eventually realizing that the soul is going to be permanent with us. But our biggest mistake is we try to get more and more connected with the physical existence. Yesterday, Param Gurudev made us strongly realize that the body in which you are living in is completely temporary. We always try to make efforts to beautify the body. Instead, we don't waste our time, and we eventually realize that all these efforts were futile and were in vain. But if we increase our efforts in realizing the truth, in more and more beautifying our inner soul, in more and more increasing our qualities of our soul, it will lead to something which is permanently going to be with us. The body which is with us in the present birth is not going to come with us in the next birth. So, all our efforts are ultimately going to be in vain. As soon as we detach ourselves from the worldly pleasures, our connection with the outside world and our outside physical existence will slowly and slowly keep on reducing. And slowly and more strongly, we will get connected, more and more connected to our inner soul, which is going to be permanent with us. Param Gurudev repeatedly gave us the example of visualizing yourself that today, if one is young, one is beautiful, one is having a beautiful body, but ultimately, this body is going to go in vain. There is no truth in attaching ourselves with the existence which we have, but the real truth lies in detaching ourselves from the body. Bhed Gnan lies in knowing the difference between the Jeev Tattva and the Ajeev Tattva. Over the years we have been spent, over all the years we have spent is to make our connection strong. But now is the time to realize our mistake and make our connection with the inner soul more and more stronger and stronger. To sum up the discourse, Param Gurudev explained to us that the Jeev Tattva is the one which is going to be permanent, and the Jeev Tattva is the one which is very much temporary and only for this birth. But our futility is in making our attachment stronger and stronger with the non-living Tattva. So, from today, we make sure that after realizing the 9 tattvas, we make all our efforts in realizing that the soul is going to be permanent. The body which we have is very much temporary. And so, we make all our efforts in making our inner qualities stronger and stronger, and ultimately lead a life which is going to take us to the moksha marg.